Okay, good morning everybody and welcome along to today's Tide Masterclass, How to Write the Perfect Business Plan. This is now our 23rd Masterclass overall and the fourth in our September series, How to Start a Small Business. For September, we've changed things up slightly, so we're doing 2 masterclasses a week, each being around 30 minutes long and giving you that how-to guide of how to start a new business. So because of the time restraints on this one, we won't be doing a Q&A session at the end, but if you have any questions, do please send them across to me in the email that I'll put into the chat room later on. Really pleased to see a good number of people attending and watching us live, but if you're watching this after the event on our YouTube channel or through our on-demand service, great to have you along too. My name's Kieran Hawker. I'm the event manager here at Tide. And for those of you who may be new to what we do, I just wanted to give you a quick overview of our services. So we are the fastest growing online business current account provider in the UK, and we currently have over 200,000 members. Our aim is to provide our members with a service that saves them both time and money when it comes to their business banking. We're great for SMEs and startups and freelancers, as there are no credit checks or startup or monthly fees on the account. This allows you to try us out alongside your current business bank account provider and see how we can save you time and money. Sign up process itself is really, really simple. It takes between 5 and 10 minutes. At the end of that process, you'll receive your sort code and account number, so you can start banking straight away, with your Tide card coming through the post a few days later. The Tide app itself, really, really simple to use and a huge amount of in-app products that will make your banking life easier. A couple of my favorites, the auto categorization tool, so you can see exactly where your money went and when it went there. And within the one account that you have, you can split that account into 4 sub-accounts. So you could have a sub-account for your tax, for your marketing, for your event spend, or whatever it is that will make your banking life a little bit easier. So I'm going to talk to you a little bit later on about how we can make it even easier for you to become a Tide member and how you can stay up to date with what we're doing here at Tide in terms of events. But now let's get on with the main part of the masterclass. And before we do get on to introducing our wonderful panelists today, I just wanted to run a quick poll. We just want to know where you guys are at in terms of your business plan. So if you could just take a couple of minutes to give us an answer to this question, please. Let us know where you are at in your business plan journey. It will give us a nice idea of who we're talking to and where you guys are. Just give it a couple more seconds. Anybody else? I'm going to get 100%. Okay, we'll leave it there. So, oh no, one more's in. Okay, we'll end the poll there and I'll share the results so you can see them, Tom. So that's where we're at. Can you see those?
Great,
perfect. So really, really pleased to have Tom Horbye here, the head of campaign development at Seedrs, and I'm going to let Tom introduce himself. Good morning, Tom.
Great, thanks, Kian. Hi, everyone, and great to be here today. And thank you, Tide, for inviting me to speak. I'm Tom. I head up the UK fundraising team at Seedrs, the most active investor in UK private businesses. And in my day-to-day, I see hundreds of business plans every month. And as an ex-entrepreneur myself, RIP, I've also gone through the motions of writing a business plan. And yes, I'm not ashamed to admit it. When I was first starting out, I did type into Google how to write a business plan. And it's amazing, since having done that and been out Seedrs for 4 and a bit years since then, and seen 100 types of business plans, how much I didn't know at the time. And hopefully some of that, I guess, experience, learnings, knowledge, insight, we're going to impart to you today. And we did that poll, and really great to see some results there. Obviously, it seems like the majority of people are in the early days of either kind of thinking about a business, thinking about writing a business plan, in the motion of doing it. A couple of you said you've already written one. So hopefully what kind of I'll share today and discuss will be useful to all of you. But we don't have long, so I'm going to be quite succinct. There is a lot of information out there on Google and other channels, and there's some great resources, some of which I've linked through to at the end of the presentation. So without further ado, let me crack on. So I guess before we kind of kicked off into writing the perfect business plan, what that looked like, I guess I wanted to dispel a couple of myths about what a business plan is not. I think we all know of people, heard stories of people who have gone out and either raised lots of money or built an incredible business without ever writing a business plan. And brilliant. And yes, that is true, and it is possible. And with great timing, solid business skills, some real hustle and a bit of luck, quite a bit of luck, some entrepreneurs can build incredible businesses without having never created an informal plan. But I'm going to be honest, like, the odds are stacked against you if that's kind of what you're trying to do. And most of those entrepreneurs, unfortunately, are more likely to fail than succeed. But creating a business plan does not guarantee success. Success is not inevitable by writing an incredible business plan. I wish it were, but it is not. What a great planning often allows you to do is, it does differentiate between the difference between success and failure. And as the old saying goes, it's better to kind of fail to plan is planning to fail. So it's really important you do this. And but when you think about a business plan, it's really important that you write it to help you succeed. And a lot of business plans I read are honestly just fantasies. They are fiction novels. They are written because a lot of entrepreneurs just think they need to create a tool with strategies, projections, hyperbole that is going to attract investors to part with their cash. And please remember, a business plan is not just for raising money. A lot of business plans, particularly in the early stages, are going to be used for attracting your first employees, your first technical employees that are going to come on board who maybe you've just got an idea. You don't have a product yet. You don't have an app. You don't have a website. All you have to show is your plan about where the business can go. So that's a really key tool, and think about using a business plan for that way as well. But also, and probably more importantly, it should convince you that your idea makes sense, because it's your time, it's your money, it's your effort that's on the line. And if you're not convinced that your business is sound when you're writing a business plan, no one else is going to be either. So you might see business plan as being a necessary evil to attract investment. Instead, I kind of implore you to not, and see it as basically a free way, a no-cost way of exploring the viability of your potential business and avoiding any costly mistakes further down the line. And I guess kind of another quick reminder is that a pitch deck is not a business plan. Your pitch deck is, I see it more as your sales deck for your business plan. It is what you're going to be able to use to get your foot in the door, to open that door with, maybe an investor, maybe a JV partner, maybe that new kind of first employee. That is a teaser for your business plan. And if you haven't written a business plan already, you are going to find writing that pitch deck much harder. I'm very much of the belief that it is easier to complicate than simplify, and it takes much longer to get ideas down to a really succinct place. So trying to write a kind of a 10-slide concise pitch deck is going to be very difficult if you haven't spent the time building out a business plan. So if we can go to the next slide, please, Kieran. So the title of today's webinar is all about how to write the perfect business plan. And first up, there is no right or wrong way to write a business plan. I'm afraid if you're looking for that silver bullet from today's webinar, I'm afraid I'm going to have to disappoint and join your bucket of disappointment along with Father Christmas and the Tooth Fairy, as there is no magic source for the perfect business plan. What's important, as I mentioned before, is that the plan meets your needs. It meets your needs. And most business plans I see fall into two categories. The traditional business plan, which tends to be the most common. That is the one that goes into a lot of depth, a lot of detail. It tends to be 15 pages plus, and that's what typically you see. The other one is the lean startup format. I tend to see less of these, mainly because it's for kind of really early stage businesses first starting out, trying to establish their idea. And these type of business plans really focus on summarizing the important points of the key elements of your plan. And they tend to be able to be created relatively quickly, thinking about 1 or 2 hours, and they're only on one page. And so today we're going to explore both of them, explore kind of some key things that I've seen as things that are good and things that are bad that I've seen in business plans that I've received in each of those different formats. So let's go on to and look at the traditional business plan. So here is I guess a summary and overview of all the types of headings that I would expect to see in a business plan, all the way from the executive summary through to an appendix. It's really important to have an appendix. It means you don't have to try and cram everything into all these different subheadings, particularly if it doesn't flow. So do use your appendix and make sure you do reference it when you're sharing your business plan with people. Look, time is short, so I'm not going to go through every single heading in detail, as there's lots of other website resources you can find to do that. But I'm going to call out two areas that I think are really important in a business plan that I look at, and where I've seen some entrepreneurs, I guess, kind of trip up or miss things. First one is actually the top one, is the executive summary. And this is probably the most important part of your business plan, I believe, when sharing it externally. And it is likely to be the first and only thing that someone is going to read before deciding whether they want to read the rest of your 15+ document. So they're going to be looking at this and they want to see, it needs to be clear, it needs to be concise, it needs to get readers excited, as excited as you are about your business, right? And really key things you want to be pulling out in the executive summary are the idea. What is the idea? What is your business? What are you trying to do? What's the market landscape? So what market are you going to be operating in? Who are the other players? The team. Who are the people who are part of this business? Is it just you? Do you have a team already around you? And finally, the financial summary. So a high level, I would say no more than, talk about projections, up to 5-year projections. And if you're looking to raise money, what the amount of investment you're looking to raise. Those kind of 4 key areas, 4 key areas are really what I'd focus on in that executive summary. And there's, in the resource section at the end, there's a template I've attached that you can access, and you can kind of dig into those individual topics in more detail. The second area that, again, is sometimes overlooked and is either not given enough detail, or again, is where we tend to see a lot of hyperbole, is in market research and customer validation. When we talk about kind of market research, a lot of things we're looking for is, how big is the market you're targeting, or otherwise known as your total addressable market, TAM. One of the key things that I want to kind of implore is that make sure it's realistic and it's focused. Say, for example, if you're launching an insurtech focused on car insurance for 18 to 27-year-olds, pretty high risk customer base, but let's go that. But then if you start throwing out big numbers about the size of the global insurance market, and that's your market, isn't it huge? Yes, it's a really beautiful, large, big number, but it's irrelevant. That is not your market. Get detailed. Dig into, what is the UK insurance market? How big is that? What is the UK car insurance market? Dig into that. And then dig in further, what is the UK car insurance market for 18 to 27-year-olds? And then if you don't have the data to find that out, use justified assumptions. As long as you can back up this assumption, great. But you need to get to a figure, a market size that is relevant. And also is interesting, because once you've gone down and you've this is our target market, this is what I've decided as a business, as an entrepreneur, where we're going to go. Once you've done the calculations, the market size is not that big, you might want to reconsider. You might then consider, actually, is this the market size I want to be focusing on at all? Again, that's a part of business planning. That's a part of digging and doing the research, is you need to find out, is this the right target opportunity you should be focusing on? So do get detailed. And again, don't forget to justify why you've chosen that target market in the first place. And the key to that is you need to do more than just desk research. While something might sound like a great thing in theory, getting out from behind your Word document and asking your target audience is fundamental. If you kind of talk about 1,000 years ago, Aristotle was writing there going, a metal ball is going to fall faster than a wooden ball. Great, makes sense in principle. Theory sound, everyone can get their head around it, sure. Galileo then comes along and does it in practice and drops from the top of the Tower of Pisa a heavy metal ball and a wooden ball to see which one hits the ground fastest. And they land at the same time, and he introduced terminal velocity to the world. And that's the difference between doing something in theory and going out and testing your idea, proving your hypothesis. That customer validation is fundamental to justify anything. And not only is it important for external people, you need to do it for yourself to figure out, does this idea have legs? Key thing is get out there, ask the questions. If you have a prototype app, get that in people's hands. It doesn't have to be in front of 1,000 people, but even 10, 20, 100 people. Just get people using it and feeding back, because it's better to find things out now than 12 months down the line when you spend time, money, and effort on something that actually isn't right, when you could have just found that out just by asking the questions earlier on. And investors, new employees are going to be asking this when they're thinking about your business, either investing in it or joining. And I know I said I'd only look at 2 points, but I guess the third point that is crucial I've seen kind of someone to struggle with or not define that clearly is how the business is going to make money. Sounds pretty obvious, and as much as we all kind of would love to say we're getting into business for the greater good, investors or employees alike want to make sure that they are going to be part of a sustainable business, not just maybe for the environment, but also commercially. So how is your business going to make money? Provide that detail. Is it going to be one-off transactions, subscription, freemium, advertising, percentage on success? Whatever it is, define it, but then also take that to your target customers. Have a chat with them. Have conversations. Would they pay for this? when I was launching my business, that was one of the main kind of tension points. Was I had a vision that we do one-off transactions. I then went to speak to my customers. I was building up a community base at the time, and they said we would never pay that ever. I was like, good to know. I need to go away and reconsider that. And that was in week 2. Well, thank God that was week 2 and not 12 months down the line once we built this kind of flashy platform and actually not want to pay for it. So again, go out, have those conversations and speak to the audience. Nice. So that's kind of an overview of the traditional business plan. The second format.
I said a quick question, Tom, on that.
Yeah.
Just obviously the content and stuff as you've gone through is really important. Do you think the design is important too? Because I mean, it's going to be the first thing people notice if you're putting this in front of somebody is, how it looks on a page. Is that something that you came across? Or
yeah, it's like obviously a good, nice looking business plan is important. But at the same time, it shouldn't come to the detriment of the content it contains. So it should look, I don't think you need to spend lots of hours and money making something look super, super pretty. You can go on and see there's lots of, you can see kind of, whilst we talked about not being pitch decks, look at some of the early pitch decks of some of the, the Airbnbs, the Ubers. They are not super sexy brand design looking really nice. So I think whilst design, it should look clean and concise. You don't want to put in loads of different colors, make it look really complicated visually. I'll say just keep it simple. Don't make it look messy. If you want to design it, I think if you are a kind of a D2C business, a direct to consumer, real kind of brand focus, if you're a recent company called Lick, big D2C paint business, yes, like part of your whole image is color, is positioning yourself as an attractive consumer brand. Yes, you need to be kind of also giving yourself that brand image and make yourself look attractive as well. But if you perhaps aren't a D2C business and maybe you're more B2B proposition, you don't necessarily need to spend the amount of time you might invest in building up your brand image within your business plan versus the content it contains.
To make it suitable to the business, your business that you're
correct
planning for, right? Okay,
exactly.
Great. Move on to the next slide.
Great. And this is the other one. This is what we call kind of the lean startup format. So if you're in the really very early days of your business ideation, you might prefer this more lean startup format. It's a bit lighter. So there's kind of various different options. This one here we have on the side here is called the lean canvas. Some of you might have heard of the business canvas model. Basically, they are a one-page plan with a handful of elements to describe your company's kind of value proposition, your customers, your revenue. As I mentioned, I see these far less, and they tend to really be used for kind of internal purposes. But this is something that I used when I was mapping out my first business, and what I really liked about it was that it helped me identify what I knew and what I didn't know. And it gave me that framework for identifying those gaps in my knowledge and using kind of key kind of criteria that is really important for assessing any idea by. So yes, you have the classic problem solution elements, but things like your unfair advantage. What are the key metrics of the business? What's your cost structure? What are your revenue streams? These are things that you should be able to answer in a succinct way. At a high level to kind of start mapping out your business plan. And mapping out in a succinct way is probably the most difficult part of this. So whilst it is lighter, it's on one page, you're not doing a kind of a 15+ page document, you can't use lots and lots of words. It does require succinctness, and you've got to be able to distill your idea down really simply. And so if you find yourself needing to spend lots of words describing things, you haven't distilled what you're trying to say down to its core message. So you need to keep trying. You keep trying. And that's where you might find yourself spending most of your time when you're using kind of a lean startup format. There's no linear way to complete this, by the way. So it's not this, there's not the classic problem solution kind of revenue channels structure. You can kind of start anywhere, and you might find yourself some blank boxes as well, and that's totally fine, because that again highlights the fact that you need to be able to identify and dig in a bit deep into some of these gaps. And you need to spend more time thinking of those areas. But kind of two main areas for this lean startup format that I've seen entrepreneurs perhaps struggle with, and I struggled with myself when I was using it, aside from kind of trying to distill the problem solution down into a succinct sentence, are first one, defining your unfair advantage now. Yes, I'm sure in your kind of when you're thinking about your idea and your business, you will be able to define how you're going to defend yourself against future copycats in the future. And that's really important to do as well. So I'm not kind of negating the need for that. but what do you have now that gives you an unfair advantage? And what I mean by that is think about your kind of domain experience, technology experience. If you're launching a logistics company, you've worked for 20 years in that industry and have a plethora of contacts, both of clients and of kind of potential employees. That is an unfair advantage versus someone else coming in for the first time having no experience of the space. So defining that unfair advantage is really important. The second area that entrepreneurs and I have struggled with is defining their key metric. And what I mean by that is, what is the one key metric, and maybe two if you're a platform or marketplace business. What is that kind of key metric that will give you a good sense of the health of your business? And this is really actually quite difficult, and because it's not about using vanity metrics, which is very easy to do. That will always go up. For example, at Seedrs, it would be very easy potentially, if kind of starting it for the first time, to say, you know what, our key metric is total number of businesses funded. Yeah, that is a useful metric, and it's great for publicity. But in the case of kind of business planning, that might be erring on the side of vanity in that case, because naturally one would hope that the number of businesses being funded is always going to go up. Whereas actually for us, looking at the funding success rate on our platform, that is a far more interesting and better way to capture the health of the Seedrs business model, because it looks at both sides of the marketplace. It looks at the number of businesses going up live, but also the amount of investment flowing through the platform as well, creating this kind of perfect world of success and driving revenue for the business. So that's quite a good example when you're thinking about kind of the health of your platform as a key metric. And in the resources section, I've actually, in that side there, I've actually put a link to a website called The Path Forward, which is a great startup resource managed by the early stage VC called Forward Partners. And in it, they actually run through in kind of a practical way, step by step, the lean canvas model, and show how it worked for William Shu, the founder of Deliveroo, when he was starting out. And it's actually really interesting. It kind of brings kind of the practical elements to life a bit more. So I do encourage you at the end to have a click through that. So in summary, those are the two business plan formats that I've seen typically used, and that kind of have worked for entrepreneurs in the past. And look, I don't know if any of you, maybe some of you haven't heard of the Lean Canvas before, but definitely if you're starting out, for those of you who haven't yet started a business plan, try the Lean format method first, test your idea, find what you know and you don't know, and then go on to the next stage of writing kind of a bit more of a detailed plan to put your thinking down in one page.
Amazing, thank you, Tom. And we're going to get onto the resources section in just a minute, and I'll put those links into the chat room. But before we get onto that, and Tom can talk about those a bit more, just wanted to give you a bit more information about Tide and what you can expect to hear from us in the next couple of days. So in the next week or next couple of days, you will all receive an email from us with a link to rewatch this webinar, which you can share with your friends and family and colleagues. And if you are not already one of our over 200,000 members, there'll also be a link in that email allowing you to sign up and start saving yourself time and money with your business banking. So all you need to do is to click on that link. Once you get it, download the Tide app, follow the really simple instructions, and then you'll be able to start using Tide for all your business banking needs. For links to all of our previous masterclasses or information about upcoming events, please visit our blog site and our events page, links to which are in the chat room, wherever that is on your screen. We also, of course, have a YouTube channel, so please find the link along with links to all of our other channels in the chat room too. So go and subscribe and like and stay up to date with all that we're doing at Tide in terms of events. If you're watching this on YouTube, please do hit the subscribe button at the bottom. It'd be great to have you subscribe to our playlist. Have a look around, look at all the other masterclasses that are there, and let us know what you think. Leave some comments for us. Let us know if there are any future subjects or speakers you'd like us to cover or invite to speak in these webinars. We really do value your feedback. For those of you watching live, don't feel left out. If you've got any ideas for future topics or speakers, put those in the chat room, please, and we'll have a look at those. After the session finishes, you'll be prompted to take part in the survey as well to give us an idea of future webinar topics and speakers. So if you have 5 minutes, do please take part in that. And there'll be a quality poll as well, just Tom goes through his resources. If you've got a couple of seconds just to give us some feedback on today's webinar, we'd really appreciate that. So do please look out for those emails and go and follow and like and subscribe on all the social channels which I put in the chat room there. So Tom, yeah, these are the resources that you spoke about just previously, and I will now put the links for these into the chat room. Maybe just want to give a bit more of an overview of what they are.
Sure. Yeah. As I mentioned, the top one, the Lean Canvas model. Again, that's run by kind of Forward Partners who've taken it and put it into practical terms with Deliveroo as an example. And actually, in that, you'll find that the unfair advantage we talked about was actually blank for William Shu. He was an investment banker, had no real expertise in the food delivery service. So that was blank. And so again, it was okay to have that space. The business plan template is for the traditional format, which is a fully customizable, detailed business plan that will literally take you through step by step. It's something that Seedrs has created with one of our business partners to basically help entrepreneurs kind of draft and craft, I guess, as close to the perfect business plan as possible. So do kind of click on that, use it. It's a free tool. It is also designed as well. Again, it's got some nice kind of generic pictures, but again, we'll make it look nice, and it will give you a bit more detail on each step, what you should be thinking about, what it should be containing. So do go ahead and check that out too.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, Tom. Listen, thank you so much for your time. Really, really interesting masterclass. Some great insight and knowledge shared with our attendees. Thank you for all the attendees who have shown up today as well. Really great to have you along. And like I said, please do look out for the email, which you'll receive in the next couple of days, and go and like and subscribe on our social channels and keep an eye out for future webinars. But until next time, thank you very much. And Tom, thank you so much indeed.
Thanks, everyone. Cheers. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.